Luna's nose twitched as they approached the crosswalk, detecting something her blind owner Marcus could never sense. The golden retriever's training told her to guide Marcus safely across the street, but her instincts screamed danger. What, Luna? Smelled in the air that Tuesday morning would prevent one of the city's worst disasters in decades. Marcus Williams had been blind since birth, but he'd never let that define his limitations. At 34, he was a successful software engineer, lived independently in downtown Seattle, and maintained a social life that many sighted people would envy. But none of this would have been possible without Luna. The golden retriever had been Marcus's guide dog for 3 years, and their partnership was nothing short of extraordinary. Luna wasn't just trained to navigate obstacles and follow basic commands. She had developed an almost supernatural ability to anticipate Marcus's needs and keep him safe in situations that other guide dogs might struggle with. Marcus had received Luna from Guide Dogs for the Blind when she was 18 months old, already equipped with 2 years of intensive training. But what made Luna special wasn't just her education. It was her intelligence and intuitive understanding of her role. She seemed to grasp that Marcus's life literally depended on her decisions. Their daily routine was precise and predictable. Every morning at 8 a.m., they would leave Marcus's apartment on Pine Street and walk exactly 12 blocks to his office at a tech startup. The route took them through some of Seattle's busiest intersections, past construction sites, around street vendors, and through crowds of commuters. Luna navigated it all with the confidence of a seasoned professional. She would stop at every curb, wait for Marcus's command, assess traffic patterns, and guide him safely across streets. She could identify the subtle differences between a city bus slowing down and one that was merely changing lanes. She knew which sidewalk grates was secure and which might be loose. She could even distinguish between the footsteps of someone walking purposefully and someone who might be intoxicated or unpredictable. Marcus often marveled at Luna's abilities. "She sees things I'll never see," he would tell friends. But somehow, she helped me see them too. The intersection at 5th Avenue and Stewart Street was part of their daily route, a busy crosswalk that connected the financial district to the shopping area. Marcus and Luna had crossed it over 1,000 times. Luna knew the timing of the traffic lights, the patterns of pedestrian flow, and even the typical behavior of the regular commuters who used the same crosswalk every day. That Tuesday morning started like any other. Marcus's alarm went off at 7:30 a.m. He showered, dressed in his usual business casual attire, and prepared Luna's breakfast. The golden retriever ate with her typical enthusiasm, her tail wagging as she anticipated their morning walk. "Ready to go to work, girl?" Marcus asked, reaching for Luna's harness. Luna's response was immediate and positive, a gentle nuzzle against Marcus's hand and the familiar sound of her moving toward the door. They left the apartment exactly on schedule, beginning their well-practiced journey through the city. The first 11 blocks passed without incident. Luna guided Marcus around a delivery truck parked too close to the sidewalk, paused appropriately at construction barriers, and navigated through the usual cluster of people waiting for buses. Her pace was steady and confident, her attention focused entirely on the path ahead. But as they approached the intersection at 5th and Stewart, something changed. Luna's first indication that something was wrong came 3 blocks before they reached the crosswalk. Her nose, which normally focused on immediate navigation concerns, began working more intensively. She was picking up a scent that didn't belong in the urban environment, something that triggered instincts buried deep in her genetic memory. Marcus noticed the change in Luna's behavior before he could identify what was causing it. The dog's pace slowed slightly, and her head began moving in a way that suggested she was tracking something in the air. "What is it, Luna?" Marcus asked, feeling the subtle tension in her harness. Luna continued walking, but her attention was clearly divided. Part of her consciousness remained focused on guiding Marcus safely, but another part was processing information that her training hadn't specifically prepared her for. Natural gas is odorless in its pure form, but utility companies add a chemical called mercaptan to give it a distinctive smell that humans can detect. The scent is designed to trigger immediate alarm in people. It's often compared to rotten eggs or sulfur, but dogs, with their incredibly sensitive olfactory systems, can detect mercaptan at concentrations far below the human threshold. Luna's nose was capable of detecting scents at concentrations nearly 10,000 times weaker than what humans could smell. As they moved closer to 5th and Stewart, the concentration of mercaptan in the air was increasing, and Luna's instincts were beginning to override her training. 2 blocks from the intersection, Luna's behavior became more noticeably agitated. She began what Marcus recognized as scent work, the systematic nose movements that working dogs use when they're trying to locate the source of a particular smell. "Luna, forward," Marcus commanded, using the standard instruction to continue. Walking, Luna obeyed, but reluctantly. Her training demanded that she respond to Marcus's commands. But her instincts were screaming that they needed to avoid whatever was ahead. Marcus was an experienced guide dog user, and he'd learned to trust Luna's judgment in situations where she seemed hesitant or concerned. But they were running late for an important meeting, and the intersection at 5th and Stewart was part of their necessary route. There was no practical alternative path that wouldn't add significant time to their journey. By the time they reached the block immediately adjacent to the intersection, Luna's distress was obvious. She was no longer walking in her usual straight, confident line. Instead, she was weaving slightly, her nose constantly moving as she tried to process the increasing concentration of the dangerous scent. Marcus could feel Luna's anxiety through the harness. Her usual steady pull was replaced by irregular tugs and hesitations. Her breathing had changed, becoming more rapid and shallow. "Luna, what's wrong, girl?" Marcus asked, stopping on the sidewalk just before the crosswalk. Other pedestrians were beginning to gather at the intersection, waiting for the walk signal. It was 8:15 a.m., peak commute time. Office workers, students, and tourists clustered around the crosswalk, many of them checking their phones or chatting while they waited. Luna's response to Marcus's question was unlike anything he'd experienced in their 3 years together. Instead of the reassuring nuzzle or gentle vocalization that usually indicated she was responding to his concern, Luna began to whine, a high-pitched urgent sound that Marcus had never heard from her before. The traffic light changed, and the pedestrian signal began its familiar countdown. Under normal circumstances, Luna would have immediately begun assessing the crosswalk, checking for turning vehicles, and preparing to guide Marcus safely across the street. Instead, Luna sat down. In the world of guide dog training, sitting down when given a forward command is almost unthinkable. Guide dogs undergo years of conditioning to overcome their natural instincts and follow their handlers' directions, even in situations that might seem dangerous or uncomfortable to them. For Luna to refuse a direct command meant that whatever she was sensing represented a threat so severe that it overrode her most fundamental training. "Luna, forward," Marcus repeated, applying gentle pressure to the harness. Luna not only refused to move, she began backing away from the crosswalk, pulling Marcus with her. The golden retriever's usually calm demeanor was replaced by obvious agitation. She was panting heavily, whining continuously, and her entire body was tense with stress. Marcus could hear the pedestrian signal counting down. "Walk sign is on. Walk sign is on." Around him, other people were beginning to cross the street. He could hear their footsteps, their conversations, the normal sounds of a busy urban intersection during rush hour. But Luna refused to join them. "What's going on with your dog?" asked a voice beside him. Marcus turned toward the sound, a woman's voice, concerned but curious. "I don't know," Marcus admitted. "She's never acted like this before." The woman, whose name was Jennifer and who worked at a nearby marketing firm, had been using this crosswalk for 2 years. She'd seen Marcus and Luna many times and had always been impressed by the guide dog's professionalism and calm demeanor. "She seems really upset," Jennifer observed. "Is she sick?" Marcus was beginning to wonder the same thing. Luna's behavior was so far outside her normal patterns that a medical issue seemed like the most logical explanation. But the dog's refusal to cross the street was so specific and targeted that Marcus suspected something else was happening. More pedestrians were gathering at the crosswalk. As the traffic light completed its cycle, the intersection at 5th and Stewart served several major bus routes, and the Tuesday morning commute meant that dozens of people were passing through the area every few minutes. Luna's agitation increased. With each new person who approached the crosswalk, her whining became more urgent, and she began trying to move Marcus further away from the intersection entirely. "Luna, what is it?" Marcus asked, kneeling down beside her. When Marcus brought his face closer to Luna's level, he noticed something that he hadn't been able to detect while standing. There was a smell in the air, faint, but definitely present. It reminded him of something, but he couldn't immediately place it. Luna pressed her nose against Marcus's hand, and then pointed her snout toward the crosswalk, as if trying to direct his attention to the source of the scent. That's when Marcus realized what he was smelling: natural gas. The scent was subtle, easily masked by the normal urban odors of car exhaust, food vendors, and city life. Most people walking through the area wouldn't have noticed it at all, but Luna's incredibly sensitive nose had detected it from blocks away, and the concentration was strong enough that even Marcus could pick it up when he focused his attention. "Oh my God," Marcus whispered, understanding beginning to dawn. He pulled out his cell phone and dialed 911. 911. "What's your emergency?" the dispatcher asked. "This is Marcus Williams. I'm at the intersection of 5th Avenue and Stewart Street with my guide dog, and I think there might be a gas leak. My dog is refusing to cross the street, and I can smell natural gas." The dispatcher's tone immediately became more focused. "Sir, are you in a safe location right now?" Marcus looked around, trying to assess their position. Luna had pulled him approximately 20 feet away from the crosswalk, positioning them near the entrance to a coffee shop. "I think so. My dog moved us away from the immediate area. Please stay where you are. Do not approach the intersection. We're dispatching emergency units to your location immediately." Within minutes, Marcus could hear the sounds of approaching sirens. Fire trucks, police cars, and utility company vehicles converged on the intersection from multiple directions. Captain Sarah Rodriguez of the Seattle Fire Department was the first emergency responder to reach Marcus and Luna. She'd been in firefighting for 15 years and had responded to numerous gas leak emergencies. But she'd never encountered a situation where a guide dog had been the first to detect the problem. "Sir, I'm Captain Rodriguez with the fire department. Can you tell me exactly what your dog was doing?" Marcus explained Luna's behavior, the increasing agitation as they approached the intersection, her refusal to cross the street, and her apparent attempt to move them both away from the area. "How sensitive is her nose?" Captain Rodriguez asked. "Incredibly sensitive. She can detect things I'll never be able to smell." Captain Rodriguez immediately understood the implications. If a guide dog was detecting gas concentrations significant enough to trigger alarm behaviors, the leak was potentially serious. The fire department's gas detection equipment confirmed what Luna had sensed. There was indeed a significant natural gas leak originating from underground pipes, directly beneath the crosswalk at 5th and Stewart. The concentration readings were alarming. While not immediately lethal, the gas had been accumulating in underground spaces and was approaching levels where a single spark could trigger an explosion. "We need to evacuate this entire block," Captain Rodriguez told her team. "This dog may have prevented a major disaster." The evacuation process began immediately. Emergency responders went door to door in surrounding buildings, asking people to leave the area quickly but calmly. The intersection was completely cordoned off, and traffic was rerouted around a 3-block radius. Dr. Michael Chen from the city's emergency management office arrived to assess the situation. As he reviewed the gas concentration readings and the timeline of events, he began to understand the magnitude of what Luna had prevented. The gas levels are high enough that any ignition source could have caused an explosion. Dr. Chen explained to the gathered emergency responders, a car backfire, a cigarette lighter, even static electricity from clothing could have triggered it. The implications were staggering. During the morning rush hour, the intersection typically saw between 40 and 50 pedestrians every few minutes. Cars and buses passed through continuously. Food vendors operated from carts powered by propane. The conditions were perfect for a catastrophic explosion. Luna, meanwhile, remained calm, now that the immediate danger had passed. She sat beside Marcus, accepting praise and attention from the emergency responders. But her focus remained on her primary job, keeping Marcus safe. The gas leak investigation revealed a problem that had been developing for weeks. A section of underground gas pipeline, installed in the 1970s, had developed a crack due to ground settling and the constant vibration from heavy traffic. The leak had started small, but had been gradually increasing in severity. The gas was seeping through soil and concrete, accumulating in underground spaces and slowly working its way to the surface. City engineers estimated that the leak had been releasing natural gas for at least 2 weeks. The concentration had been building steadily, approaching dangerous levels just as Luna detected it. The timing was critical, explained Dr. Rachel Foster, a pipeline safety engineer who was called in to assess the situation. If this had gone undetected for another day or two, we could have been looking at a major explosion during peak commute hours. The investigation also revealed why Luna had been the first to detect the problem. Most humans walking through the area would have noticed only a very faint odor, if anything at all. The gas was mixing with urban air currents and being diluted by other smells. But Luna's nose was operating on a completely different level. Dogs have roughly 300 million olfactory receptors compared to humans' 6 million. Their olfactory cortex is proportionally much larger than humans, allowing them to process scent information with incredible precision. More importantly, Luna's training as a guide dog had heightened her awareness of environmental dangers. While she hadn't been specifically trained to detect gas leaks, her general conditioning to assess and avoid threats had prepared her to recognize when something in their environment was dangerous. Guide dogs are trained to make independent safety decisions, explained Dr. Janet Walsh, a veterinary behaviorist who specializes in working dogs. Luna's refusal to cross the street wasn't disobedience. It was her doing exactly what she was trained to do: keep her handler safe from harm. The gas company's repair crew worked for 6 hours to locate and fix the leak. The section of damaged pipeline was replaced, and additional safety monitoring equipment was installed throughout the underground infrastructure in the area. During the repair process, emergency officials were able to calculate exactly how many people Luna's early warning had potentially saved, based on typical traffic patterns for that time of day and location. Between 45 and 50 people would have been in the immediate blast radius if an explosion had occurred. The number that stuck with everyone involved was 40. The estimated number of lives that Luna's sensitive nose and quick thinking had saved. Word of Luna's heroic actions spread quickly through Seattle and then nationally. Local news stations picked up the story first, featuring interviews with Marcus, emergency responders, and city officials. This dog literally saved dozens of lives. Mayor Patricia Johnson told reporters during a press conference the next day, Luna's actions demonstrate the incredible value of guide dogs and the amazing bond between working animals and their handlers. The story resonated with people around the world. Social media posts about Luna garnered millions of views and shares. People were fascinated by the idea that a guide dog's routine morning walk had prevented a major urban disaster, but for Marcus, the most meaningful recognition came from the people who had been at the intersection that morning. The 47 commuters, students, and workers who didn't realize how close they'd come to tragedy. Jennifer, the marketing executive who had first noticed Luna's distress, returned to the intersection the next day to thank Marcus personally. "I crossed that street every morning," she told him. "I had no idea anything was wrong. If your dog hadn't stopped when she did." Marcus received dozens of similar messages over the following days. Parents wrote to thank him for saving their children who walked through that intersection on their way to school. Office workers expressed gratitude for Luna's actions that had prevented them from being caught in an explosion. The Guide Dogs for the Blind organization used Luna's story to highlight the comprehensive training and incredible capabilities of guide dogs. Luna became something of a poster dog for the program, demonstrating that guide dogs don't just help their handlers navigate, they can be heroes to entire communities. "Luna represents the very best of what guide dogs can be," said Dr. Amanda Foster, the training director at Guide Dogs for the Blind. Her actions show that these dogs are capable of making complex safety decisions that can have far-reaching consequences. The incident prompted scientific interest in dogs' ability to detect gas leaks and other environmental hazards. Researchers began studying whether guide dogs and other working dogs could be specifically trained to identify gas leaks as part of their safety protocols. Dr. Stephen Parker, a researcher at the University of Washington's Veterinary School, conducted tests to measure Luna's scent detection abilities. The results were remarkable. Luna can detect natural gas concentrations at levels roughly 10,000 times below what most humans can smell, Dr. Parker reported. Her sensitivity is so acute that she could potentially detect gas leaks long before they become dangerous. The testing revealed that Luna's abilities extended beyond just detecting the presence of gas. She could also distinguish between different types of gas, estimate the concentration levels, and even identify the general direction of the source. "What's most impressive is her decision-making process," Dr. Parker noted. Luna didn't just detect the gas, she evaluated the threat level and made a judgment about how to keep her handler safe. That level of reasoning is extraordinary. The research led to discussions about incorporating gas leak detection into guide dog training programs. While such training would be highly specialized and not necessary for all guide dogs, the incident demonstrated that some working dogs could serve as early warning systems for environmental hazards. City utility companies also became interested in Luna's capabilities. The Seattle Gas Company reached out to Marcus about the possibility of having Luna assist with pipeline inspections in areas where traditional detection equipment might be less effective. Dogs like Luna could be invaluable for detecting leaks in complex urban environments, explained Tom Bradley, the company's safety director. Their mobility and sensitivity could help us identify problems before they become dangerous. 6 months after the incident, Marcus and Luna's daily routine had largely returned to normal. The intersection at 5th and Stewart had been fully repaired and declared safe. Marcus had even received clearance from Luna herself. When they approached the crosswalk for the first time after the repairs, Luna showed no signs of distress and crossed normally, but the experience had changed both of them in subtle ways. Marcus had gained an even deeper appreciation for Luna's abilities and judgment. He'd always trusted her navigation skills, but now he understood that her protective instincts extended far beyond simply avoiding obstacles. "She's not just my guide dog," Marcus reflected during an interview 6 months later. "She's my partner in ways I never fully understood before." Luna, for her part, seemed to have gained confidence in her own decision-making abilities. Marcus noticed that she was more assertive in situations where she perceived potential dangers, and more willing to override commands when her instincts suggested caution was needed. The incident also had broader implications for how guide dogs are trained and utilized. Several guide dog organizations began incorporating more extensive environmental hazard awareness into their training programs. Luna's story taught us that guide dogs are capable of much more than we originally thought, explained Dr. Foster from Guide Dogs for the Blind. "We're now exploring ways to enhance their natural protective instincts while maintaining their core navigation skills." The City of Seattle also implemented new safety protocols based on lessons learned from the gas leak incident. Regular pipeline inspections were increased, and emergency responders received additional training in working with detection animals. Most importantly, the story served as a reminder of the extraordinary bond between humans and working animals. Luna's actions demonstrated that guide dogs don't just help their handlers navigate the physical world, they can be protectors, decision-makers, and heroes. As Marcus and Luna continued their daily walks through Seattle, they passed the intersection at 5th and Stewart every morning. The crosswalk looks exactly the same as it did before the incident, but both of them know that something fundamental changed there. For Marcus, the experience reinforced his belief that Luna is more than just a highly trained animal. She's a thinking, feeling being who makes independent decisions based on love, loyalty, and an instinct to protect. For Luna, the incident represented a moment when her training, instincts, and dedication to Marcus all aligned perfectly. She did what guide dogs are trained to do. She kept her handler safe. But in doing so, she also saved the lives of 40 other people who will never know how close they came to tragedy. The story of Luna's heroic morning continues to inspire people around the world. It serves as a reminder that heroes come in all forms, sometimes on 4 legs, with golden fur and an incredible nose for danger. "People ask me if Luna knows that she's a hero," Marcus said during a recent interview. "I think she does, but I don't think she cares about that. She was just doing her job, taking care of me and keeping me safe. The fact that she saved 47 other lives in the process, that's just who Luna is." Today, Luna continues to guide Marcus through the streets of Seattle, navigating obstacles, assessing dangers, and making the split-second decisions that keep them both safe. She's returned to her normal routine, but everyone who knows their story understands that Luna is far more than an ordinary guide dog. She's a reminder that the bond between humans and animals can produce miracles, and that sometimes the most heroic acts come from simply doing what you were trained to do, with love, dedication, and an unwavering commitment to protecting those who depend on you. What do you think drives these incredible instincts in our 4-legged heroes? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories of loyalty and courage that prove the extraordinary capabilities of our animal companions.